So, welcome to this session. Now, let us look at the GE matrix, also referred to as the McKenzie's matrix. So, many times known by different names, McKenzie matrix, GE matrix or the GE business screen. What does it do? Again a portfolio analysis matrix, analyzing the portfolios with reference to a company. Look at what it is doing. So, if you see what is happening with respect to this particular business screen, this is in fact available to you on page number 135 of this. Okay. So, 135 of my book. If you really see this classification of this business screen, it is with respect to strong, medium and weak. So, market attractiveness is on the y axis, business strength is on the x axis. Suppose it is a weak business unit, you are in this last this thing blocks, medium in the center and strong towards the left. So, if you really see, this is a what do you call, this screen has 9 compartments. If you see, the scale is going from 1 to 5 on the x axis as well as on the y axis. Market attractiveness going from 1 to 5. So, if you are between 1 and 2.33, it is low, then 2.33 to 3.67, it is medium, and 3.67 to 5, it is high. When you are looking at the business strength, suppose it is the portfolio of the company is between 1 and 2.33, it is weak, 2.33 to 3.67, it is medium, 3.67 to 5, it is strong. Now, different colors are used in this particular matrix. If you see, somewhat gray or towards greenish are used for 3 blocks with respect to this company GE. So, what are the types of portfolios? They are looking at the portfolios with respect to joints, hydraulic pumps, clutches in these 3 blocks. So, a portion of these hydraulic pumps is also coming towards the other 3 shaded blocks, somewhat orange in this, where you have aerospace fittings, fuel pumps and also flexible diaphragms. So, hydraulic pumps, there is a good possibility that it might move towards this orange block. If you see the one on the at the bottom, that is the relief valves, for GE the business strength of this portfolio is also weak, the market attractiveness is low, this portfolio is really not doing well. When it is not doing well, the strategy is to harvest or divest this particular portfolio. So, when you are in this orange this thing blocks, if you see, that is towards aerospace fittings, fuel pumps and flexible diaphragms. The strategic planner can be selective depending on the types of earnings these portfolios are providing to the company. When you are in this green, gray or green blocks, that is a 3, the business, the market attractiveness is moving from medium to strong. Similarly, the business strength is also moving from business to strong. The best method of strategy that the strategic planner would advocate for these types of portfolios would be to invest, make them grow. So, when they grow, it is possible that they can take care of the investments which you may require in some cash cows, the terminology used with respect to BCG matrix. So, some of the portfolios where you want to infuse cash to make them sustain in the marketplace, you can make use of these particular portfolios to do that. So, this is the way this McKinsey company, again a consulting company, drew up this G business screen. Kindly note that these were done for companies which were operating in the marketplace, the BCG matrix as well as the G business screen. So, page number 135 of my book gives you some details on this G business screen. It is a more complicated matrix compared to BCG, developed with assistance from McKinsey, then shown in figure 8.5. So, if you really see industry attractiveness, business strength and competitive position, it is categorized differently: winners, average businesses, profit producers, losers, question marks, losers. So, where these particular portfolios are falling, if you really see, relief walls is falling in losers category with reference to the screen. Now, using all these indicators with reference to the G company, with reference to the Indian scenario, you can draw this G business screen similar to that matrix. So, what could be the type of industry attractiveness and what could be the typical weightage percent that you can give? So, these are indicative figures only, kindly note that. So, perhaps a deeper discussion may be required to see that these are fine tuned or pruned or whatever. So, if you look at the industry attractiveness, the size of the market tells you what is the type of factor that determines its attractiveness, size of the market. Typical weightage is 10%. Similarly, the rate of growth of sales and cyclic nature of business, typical weightage is 15%. Third, the nature of competition, vulnerability to foreign competition, again 15%. This is very important in the present day Indian context because you are in this LPG era. Susceptibility to technological obsolescence and new products, again very important at 10. Entry conditions and social factors, again getting a 10% weightage, and profitability of the business unit, getting a 40% weightage. Now, with respect to competitive position, the factors that are considered are market share and capacity at 20%, growth rate at 10%, location and distribution at 10%, management skills at 15%, workforce harmony at 20%, then technical excellence including product and product process engineering at 20%, the image of the company at 5%, making a total of 100%. So, it has to be rated between 1 to 10 on all these factors. So, when you rate it, a company, a hypothetical company in the Indian scenario, it has got 6.9 as the score. So, when it has got 6.9 as a score, what is the type of inference that you can draw? The type of inference is that this company can sustain in the marketplace. It is a strong company, it can do well in spite of all the types of competition that is being thrown at this company, okay, or being made to face by this company. It can still do well, sustain itself in the marketplace. So, there are many public sector units also which are doing reasonably well in spite of very heavy competition. One of the companies is BHEL, doing well with respect to its products, making consistent profits. Okay. So, one of the consulting organizations which is also doing reasonably well, a public sector unit, is Engineers India. Okay. May not be extraordinary, but still reasonably doing well. So, this is what comes as the inference when you apply this McKenzie matrix. So, initially you apply the BCG matrix. This McKenzie matrix or the G business screen is a more complicated one compared to the BCG matrix, which you can apply at the second stage with respect to an organization, with respect to a firm, and with respect to its portfolios. So, we look at one or two more, 2 or 3 more matrices. The third one which you can look at is what is called the Shell's directional policy matrix. So, if you look at the Shell's directional policy matrix, so depending on this particular, before we go to that, this particular slide gives you what is this protect position, invest to build, build selectively. What is the type of strategies the strategic planner can adopt? So, the strategies could be, when you are protecting position, invest to grow at maximum digestible rate, concentrate effort on maintaining strength. When you are investing to build, it is challenge for leadership, build selectively on strengths, reinforce vulnerable areas. When you are building selectively, depending on the block where you are in, it can be specialize around limited strengths, seeks ways to overcome weaknesses, withdraw if indications of sustainable growth are lacking. Suppose you have to selectively select between selectivity and manage for earnings, it can be protect the existing program, concentrate investments in segments where profitability is good and risk is relatively low. Suppose you want to build selectively, invest heavily in most attractive segments. Build up ability to counter competition, emphasize profitability by raising productivity. Suppose it is limited expansion or harvest, you look for ways to expand without high risk, otherwise minimize investment and rationalize operations. Suppose you are at the bottom here with reference to business strength and market attractiveness. The strategies can be protect and refocus, that is manage for current earnings, concentrate on attractive segments, defend strengths, or it can be manage for earnings in perfect position in most profitable segments, then upgrade product line, then maximize minimize investment. When you are looking for divestment, sell at time that will maximize cash value. So, to the extent possible, realize a reasonable portion of the investment you have made into that portfolio. Cut fixed costs and avoid investment meanwhile. So, this can be the type of strategies that you can adopt for the marketplace. So, this the next slide gives you with reference to the factors underlying market attractiveness and competitive position with respect to this hydraulic pump market of the GE. Then you using this, I have given you the type of factors in the Indian context. So, if you look at the Shell matrix, it is very similar to the GE approach, but what is the difference? The identifies different strengths for each grid sector. This Shell matrix is discussed on page number 137. It is called the Shell's directional policy matrix. It was adopted by the Shell Oil Company in the US. So, similar to the GE business screen, you have the competitive position and the sectoral prospects, and the different cells give you what is the type of strategy that you can adopt. So, if you see, suppose your position is that of a leader, that is page number 138. The business prospects are high, the competitive capability is strong, then the recommended strategy is to hold high market position with all necessary resources. Suppose it is a custodial one, the business prospects are average, the competitive capability is also average, may have many competitors, maximize cash generation with new resources. So, this is the type of strategy that you can adopt. This is given here. The sectoral prospects, the unit's competitive position. So, you can look at the different strategies, different business prospects where it is applicable, and what is the type of recommended strategy. So, this is available given to you on page number 138 also. Now, before we this PIMS model is discussed in also on page number 138 of my book, that is the profit impact of marketing strategy. I am reading from page number 138, small portions. Started at GE, later used by Strategic Planning Institute for portfolio analysis, makes use of multidimensional cross-sectional regression studies of profitability of more than 2000 business units. Using this, an industry characteristic, that is business average profitability, is developed and it is compared with the performance of the company concerned. The model uses past data to develop a statistical relationship instead of judgment weights used in the GE screen. This is the main difference. Makes use of past data to develop a statistical relationship instead of judgment weights used in the GE business screen. This model is also criticized. Comes from the fact that it makes use of a heterogeneous population, that is different types of businesses taken at different time periods. According to this model, profitability is closely linked to market share. 10% improvement of profitability corresponds to 5% improvement in return on investment. The rationale for this is given by using the experience curve effect. So, what we discussed in the experience curve, you produce more, then the cost per unit might come down, which implies that the average cost per unit will reduce with an accumulated production. However, it has to be recognized that larger companies with better quality management techniques can exercise greater market power. So, this was also what was brought out as one of the points with reference to experience curve. Suppose you are a new entrant into the market, so many compromises you may have to do. So, there are two more matrices which are discussed in the book. One is called the Arthur D. Little Companies matrix. The other is the Hofer's product evaluation matrix, again giving you different screens. So, if some of you are interested, you can go through these pages 139 and 140. It brings you to one more matrix on international portfolio analysis on page number 141, and this 141 page, this international portfolio analysis matrix, it is looking at portfolios by country. So, this is what many companies are doing. So, you have most of these IT companies concentrating on different country markets. You have an Asia market, you have an European market, you have the North Americas, all these types of things. So, sometimes in this different Asian market, they give which country, which this thing, all this. So, if you look at the market share, say for a company like Infosys with reference to India, what is the share of the market of the company from the Indian this thing? It is very small, but now improving in the Indian market scenario also, because so many services are being offered through Infosys. So, including the GST. So, and even your IT filing. So, the service is coming from Infosys. Okay. So, this is given by on page number 141 and brings you to one important aspect. This is what is called the parenting strategy. This is a parenting strategy. When you look at parenting strategy, it is a fit between parenting opportunities and parenting characteristics. So, this is highlighted to you on page number 142 of the book, and it gives you different names, depending on where you are there, that is, the company is there. So, businesses that lie in the top right corner of the matrix are the heart of the corporate's future, that is called heartland. These heartland businesses present opportunities for improvement by the parent, and the parent understands their critical success factors well. Therefore, these should have priority for all corporate activities. The edge of heartland. So, for businesses in the edge of heartland, parent may not have all the characteristics needed by the unit or may not understand the unit's critical success factors. In such circumstances, the parent needs to know when to interfere in the business unit's activities and strategies, and at other times should remain away from the business decision making process. For those ballast business units, they have been with the company for a long time, have been successful, they fit well with the company, but environmental changes may make them to move to an alien territory. So, the decision maker has to take a decision when he should divest business unit. Okay. So, when it is in an alien territory, very little opportunity to be improved by for improvement through the parent. So, this is what happens with reference to so many of the products, SBUs of many PSUs also. So, if you really look at it, the present day scenario is really choking many of the PSUs. Okay. So, the liberalized scenario. Generally, these business units are small and often remnants of past diversification. It may be better to divest these business units. The value trap business fits well with the parental opportunities, but are a misfit with parents understanding critical success factors. So, thus there is a good chance of the parent making a big mistake. Now, look at the utility given on page number 43 of this portfolio analysis and display matrices. These matrices can help top management to evaluate each of their business units and set objectives to allocate resources. So, they can also make use of external data and supplement this management judgment. So, if you look at many of the screens that are used for this display matrices, it helps in good communication. So, it facilitates communication. But sometimes there are limitations, many of the market segments cannot be very accurately defined, some opportunities may get missed. Sometimes it is difficult to clearly make out what makes an industry attractive or where exactly the product fits in the PLC. If you really see in the Indian context in the present day, it is time for the Indian business units to make use of these display matrices with lot of vigor and emphasis to make a mark in the present competitive scenario. They are making a mark. So, if you see the present slogan, the present government is coining is to make in India. So, whether it is a defense product or whether it is a product for other sectors. So, the government says, why do you want to go in only for imported products? Why do not you make this product within our own country? Can we not do it? So, by that the idea that the country or the policy makers in the country are giving to the industry is, so make the country to become self sustaining even with respect to demands of different sectors, different industries, make the product at home and make it viable to the extent possible. So, whether it is a startup unit or whether it is an MSME. So, if you will see the growth of startup units in the country, which could be counted on your fingertips a few years back. It has grown phenomenally in the last few years. The present figures indicate it is growing, it is clocking several thousands of startup units, somewhere in the region of some 68,000 startup units in the country, which is quite phenomenal. So, this make in India concept, which is being promoted by the present government, it has made a impact with the entrepreneurs or the persons or the youngsters who want to become entrepreneurs. Instead of seeking a job with a government sector or a private sector, the government is telling, why don't you create jobs instead of seeking a job. So, which many of the entrepreneurs, especially from the top institutes in the country, they are venturing into. Okay, this is where we stop for today. We looked at the usefulness of these display matrices and how these display matrices are going to play a very important role in the present Indian context. Okay. Okay, we will stop here, we will continue in the next class. Thank you.